After years of searching for the father of my second great-grandfather, Thomas H., I thought I found him. The name Francis Harrison H. kept showing up in family trees. However, after further research, I discovered that the location, dates, and records were not adding up. In this video, I'm going to take a look at the records that I found and whether or not they support he had a son named Thomas, and if that Thomas was indeed my second great-grandfather or a different man entirely. Hi, I'm Janine. My search for the truth started with Francis.
Francis Harrison H. had a well-documented life of his own. He was born in Thirsk, Yorkshire, England, and settled in the United States. In 1831, he married Anna Freeman P. in Dearborn County, Indiana. By 1850, the family appears in Missouri. Living in the household is a son named Thomas Freeman H., who is listed as having been born in Indiana.
So now we have our first Thomas. The question is whether or not Thomas Freeman H. became my second great-grandfather.
By 1860, Thomas Freeman H. is still following a documented path. He's 24 years old and living with his wife, Mary Jane H., his first cousin, daughter of Richard, Francis's brother. As I continued following the records, I found a man who remained connected to his family. By 1870, Thomas Freeman H. is living in Illinois with his wife, mother, and a laborer. I found him again in 1880, living with his wife, mother, and two nieces, still in Illinois. He worked as a cow merchant, but it doesn't appear he ever had any children. Thomas Freeman H. died in 1889 at age 53 in Elsa, Illinois. That's his story.
But does that story match my second great-grandfather? Let's take a look at some additional records.
The earliest record I have for him is the 1851 New Brunswick census. While Thomas Freeman H. was documented with Francis Harrison's family in the United States, my Thomas was living as a servant in the household of James Pennington in New Brunswick, Canada. From there, his trail eventually leads to Iowa. When he became a U.S. citizen in 1869, he formally renounced his allegiance to Queen Victoria. My Thomas married Margaret or Maggie M. They had 10 children who all are well documented. 2 of those children died in early infancy. Together, he and Maggie built their lives in Plymouth County, Iowa. Their family appears consistently in census records. The death certificates of some of their children identify Thomas H. and Maggie M. as their parents and list both parents as being born in Canada. Land records place Thomas near Sioux City, Iowa in 1877. Along with his father-in-law, Duncan M., Thomas was listed as one of the principal settlers of Liberty Township in Plymouth County, Iowa. His death record and burial also place him in Iowa. Thomas H. died in April of 1893. Records were already pointing toward Thomas Freeman H. and Thomas H. being 2 different men, but DNA provided another piece of evidence. If Francis Harrison H.'s son Thomas was my second great-grandfather, I would expect DNA connections through his descendants. My DNA matches connect back to the children of Thomas H. and Margaret M., but I have not found any evidence connecting me to descendants of Thomas Freeman H., the son of Francis Harrison H. And as previously stated, I have not found any evidence that Thomas Freeman and Mary Jane H. had any children of their own. Let's take a look at this table. It shows a side-by-side comparison of the 2 Thomases. These 2 men were born during the same generation, but the records suggest they are 2 different men. After following them both through the records, I do not believe Francis Harrison H. was the father of my second great-grandfather, Thomas H.
Something interesting to note is that I did actually find a connection to Francis Harrison H. But it wasn't through any of his children, and it wasn't through my Thomas H. But I digress. That mystery is better left for a future video.
Concerning Francis Harrison H. as my Thomas H.'s father, I understand why this connection found its way in some of the family trees. When children's names are similar and records are incomplete, it's easy to combine two people into one. Also, the name Francis seems to be common within the family. For example, my great-grandfather John, one of Thomas H's sons, named several of his children Francis or a variation of that name. Also, another one of my second great-grandfather's sons was named Thomas with the middle initial F. And Thomas H's suspected sister Margaret also had a son named Thomas Francis. Because of all this, some could easily conclude that all of these people were named after Francis Harrison H. Another interesting similarity between the two Thomases is that they both had a recorded age of death as 53.
But one of the most important lessons in genealogy is that every conclusion should be tested against the evidence. The evidence presented here still doesn't answer the question of who Thomas H's father or parents really were, but it does eliminate one possibility. And sometimes getting the wrong answer gets us one step closer to finding the right one. Have you ever experienced a case of mistaken identity in your own family tree when two people shared the same name? If so, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and as always, have a great day.